and welcome to Your Business with Charmaine on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Charmaine Huber. I'm also a small business owner and a money coach with Money Coaches Canada. This is the business resource and information show for the small business owner or for anyone who is thinking of starting their own business in and around the Simcoe County area. And every show we choose a different topic that relates to your business, and joining me in the studio is always at least one guest who is not only a business owner but also an expert on our chosen topic of conversation. And tonight, of course, is no different than any other night. We're going to be talking about having a coach in your corner, and that is a business and leadership coach for your small business. And joining me tonight is Michelle Smith.
Hi.
From michellesmith.com. And Michelle, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining me in the studio. I know you're from the GTA, and it's always a little bit of a challenge to get up here. I just wanted to share with our audience today a little bit of a detail about Michelle. And Michelle started her first company when she was 21 years old, and she is a business and leadership coach. She's a keynote speaker as well as a #1 best-selling author. And she's also writing another book. So Michelle, once again, welcome. And if you could share with us a little bit of your background, your business background, your education, as well as your current business and your role there.
Yes, of course. It's a pleasure to be here. My business background started a little bit as a surprise. I was in university and paying my own way, and looked for work in the summertime and struggled because this was in 1994 and there wasn't a lot of opportunities that allowed me to earn fantastic revenue besides waitressing, which is what I was doing to pay for school. So I went on an interview and I saw somebody go out and do sales, and it was a door-to-door sales job. And at the end of the day, they told me that the way that the sales reps get paid is on commission. And as soon as I was told that, it made me understand that I had an opportunity to be able to earn revenue for how hard I worked. And at 20 years old, there was no other opportunity like that. It was a fantastic product. It was a long distance program. It was something I believed in. And I was terrified to start to learn this industry. I was so shy, I was intimidated by people. The idea of sales was so foreign to me, and I had incredible people teach me how to overcome comfort zones and really learn about myself in the beginning and learn how to work extremely hard and learn how to not get discouraged and about my attitude. And fast forward, that made me fall in love with the industry, and it made me also fall in love with the service industry and the availability that we had, we could provide for clients if we were really fantastic when we represented their products and services. And for us to be able to go out and reach out to people in the community and be the face of a product, especially at that time, it was extremely valuable to have human interaction so that companies had the ability to really connect with their customers. And that allowed us to start to attract some phenomenal clients. And I opened my company and worked with other people that coached me along the way, and then from there scaled that business. And we opened other offices, we took on more clients, and we ended up scaling that business, and I ran it for 18 years. And during that time, I started to write with another woman who ran a sales and marketing business down in Florida. And the two of us wrote a book targeted towards women in their early 20s about how to make great business decisions and find the answers that they needed to by knowing what questions to ask themselves. That book came out and it did well. It hit #1 on Amazon, and since that time I have no longer run my sales and marketing business, but now I'm a business coach and a leadership coach and work with entrepreneurs on how to scale their business, and I'm a keynote speaker and continue to work on the things that I'm still passionate about. I just don't run my own sales and marketing office anymore.
Okay, so and actually the book that you're talking about, do you want to just show that book? It's called The 6 Questions.
The 6 Questions.
Okay, and that is about in the sales and marketing business, or is it?
It's not directed towards the sales and marketing business. There's stories in here from when we were in the field and when we were new running our businesses and our companies. And you know, one of the things that I had to learn how to do when I was 21 years old was learn how to interview people, and that terrified me just as much. So for new business owners, there's a lot of information that would serve in a how to do it sort of way, but more so it's just about when you're looking to make certain choices and you're not 100% sure what to do, then if you go through the process of asking yourself each of these questions in order, then you'll hear the answer that you know you should do. So it helps you make sure that you're making the right decisions.
Right.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
And when is the next book coming out?
I don't have a confirmed published date yet, but we're in final edits. And right now the title, I believe, is called More Than a Leader. And it should be published, I expect, by the end of this year. It depends on how long it takes to get the final manuscript submitted to the publisher.
Well, that's great, Michelle.
Thank you.
So let's start then talking a little bit about what exactly is a business coach, a leadership coach, and why would a business owner need a coach like that? Or when would a business owner need a coach like that?
A business coach and a leadership coach in my own life was the only way that I was able to succeed at running my business. I started my business at such a young age, and I knew the fundamentals of what I needed to be able to do to run a business that had that was a sales and marketing business. But how to deal with challenges as they came up, and how to manage financing challenges, or when anything that's brand new, I would have had to navigate by experiment. And because I did have business coaches, and because I did have a leadership coach, it allowed me to have the wisdom of someone who understood more about what I was dealing with than I did at that time. Mm-hmm. It's definitely the reason why I was able to be successful in business. It's why I didn't have to fall down as hard sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so today I personally have 4 coaches, and working with someone who can guide you, who can give you information, who can answer questions, who can show you a perspective that you just don't necessarily have the sight into. Mm-hmm. It's an investment that I believe every entrepreneur will see it serve them in so many ways. And it's determining which coach is best or where you would go to get guidance. But working with a mentor is one of the biggest influencers that you can have as a business person.
Okay, so we're going to talk more about these coaches, and please do stay with us. You are currently watching Your Business with Charmaine on Rogers TV. Hi, and welcome back to Your Business with Charmaine on Rogers TV. We are talking tonight about having a coach or two in your corner, and talking about business coaches. And joining me tonight is a business and leadership coach, Michelle Smith. And Michelle, just before the break, you were sort of giving a little bit of a definition of or why we need to have a business coach, and you had mentioned that you have 4 coaches.
I do.
And you're a coach, so why don't you, if you could share with us what kinds of coaches you have and why that you have all these coaches?
Predominantly it's about being able to make wise decisions. And when I was younger, without having other people's insight, it cost me from a experience perspective if it was positive or negative. As a business coach, when I followed some of the challenges that most entrepreneurs go through. I worked really, really hard. I didn't necessarily take great care of myself during that time, and I would be at the office living on coffee and getting to the point of being so hungry and having a headache, and then making a very bad decision from a nutrition perspective. Mm-hmm. That over the period of time, you don't notice it, but I had completely become uncomfortable and gained weight and was not healthy. And so in order to make smart decisions from a nutrition perspective, I started to work with a nutrition coach, and she simply taught me what to eat. And the understanding of what I was doing that was so wrong, that I thought was so right, it fascinated me. And to change just even very small things. I used to drink my coffee double, and did have multiple of those every single morning. And the amount of cream that you get inside of one double coffee, and the extra dairy that you're taking in as a woman in my age group, I was getting 8 times my daily serving in just my coffee, which was incredible. Making that one change over the course of a year and a few other slight changes, which was all it took, I lost close to 40 pounds in a year and was able to get extremely healthy because I have a nutrition coach. So as opposed to needing to know all of this stuff on my own, it is faster, easier, smarter to trust other people who are experts in that space.
Right.
And I do so. I have 4 coaches, and it's my goal to hire others in the future.
Right.
It just allows me to map my life better and make stronger decisions. And financial coaches, the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's unbelievably costly to make choices when you're guessing, and we don't have to guess. And
That's
there's
right.
so many coaches that are available today that it's not about one particular person per se, but it's about being able to work with somebody to help solve the challenge and to
Right.
get the education so that you know you're making the right decisions.
Right, and one thing that I find is, at least for myself as a money coach, people say, "Wow, it's so expensive to work with a money coach," but and I try to explain, and I'm sure it's the same with you as a business coach, as a leadership coach. Yes, the cost is high, but it should be. But the return on that investment is tenfold, 100-fold of the actual outlay of cash that you spend on that coach. At least that's my experience.
Absolutely, and the cost is negligible when you take a look at what the results are.
Yes.
And also, people aren't paying, when they pay a coach, there's a slight misconception, I think, when it comes to billing hours and things of that nature. But what you're doing is you're paying for the entire education that coach has, so that they may be able to make an assessment in 10 minutes that cost them $80,000 to have that perspective. But to be able to have somebody who has that perspective when I'm trying to make a decision in my life and I need the most amount of information to do so, it's a tiny investment to pay somebody who knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
And that's what a coach is. That's what a lawyer is. They coach on the law. Well, they have degrees and things like that as well, of course. But
they also have the knowledge, right? They have that $80,000, as you just mentioned, on their side of knowledge.
At least. At least.
Yeah.
Yes. So in my opinion, investing in yourself is the best investment you will ever make, and it's the least costly way of being able to navigate with intention.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about the value proposition. What exactly is it, and how important is it to ensure that your business focuses on value?
As a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, there's 6 particular things that separate the highest performing entrepreneurs from everybody else. And the number 1 is the value proposition. And the value proposition simply means that you have a business or a service that does answers a problem. It provides a solution. And it provides a solution that is valuable so that consumers have a feeling of gaining value when they are using your product or your service. And by focusing on value, it means that you're delivering something that really delivers for people. It's not to do anything except for make sure that you are running a business that serves. And when you focus on the value proposition, it's not just about the particular product, but it's the value proposition in the way that you deliver that product. It's a value proposition in the location of your business. Is there value to your consumers or your customers as far as where they have to go to get you? And it's not just physical location as well, it's also online location. If your business is an unbelievable restaurant and it's a destination restaurant, then it takes a lot more effort for a customer to come and find you and to visit you. You could have the best restaurant in the world. The same thing when it comes to being in the online world, is that as a business, people look for you online today. We expect to find each other online, and we expect to be able to find a lot of information. And if we like the business that we've just experienced, we also want to be able to make a purchasing decision. So do you also provide value in the online space? And do you also offer something for free that you download, and it's a valuable download? It gives somebody something tangible that's going to be useful. We talk about giving away some of your best secrets for free. That if you focus on really serving customers and they trust you, that is something that you will not undo as long as you continue to focus on value. So it's not about a quick hit or a one-time customer. Focusing on value is the way to ensure that you have a business that not only really delivers today and outproduces and outlasts competition, but you're building a relationship with the people in your business, your customers, people who pass by, everyone. And so there's nothing that is more important than focusing on value and delivering value.
So, so how do you find, let's talk about finding the right people and you know, part of the value proposition, you know, you're online, you're a destination. How do you find the right people, as in customers, as a business, and also as employees, as a business owner?
Right, and it's one of the, again, one of the keys when it comes to small business ownership. Having the right employees makes all the difference in the world. Having the best person behind the desk, the person who's on the phone, the voice of the company, whatever it happens to be for each small business. Finding the right people truly means being involved in the selection process. We would interview, when I first started my sales company, and we would interview and we would look for people that were not only the right fit for our company, but that would also be a fantastic representation of the clients that we were working with. And in the interview process, we had to go fairly deep in order to ensure that we were finding things that were less than just a skill set, right? Because when you look for people, you're looking for skills if you're looking for specific tasks. But beyond that, you're also looking for people that have the type of attitude that you want your business to convey. You're looking for people who have the communication skills that you want your business to be represented by. And so finding the right people means first knowing what you're looking for, and that means probably doing a perfect client write-up where you determine the perfect type of customer that you would like to attract and the perfect type of employee that you would like to have in your business. And just spending the time to fill out the survey so that you have the answer. When you're doing interviews, you then take a look for these other qualities, and you look in order to ensure that they are demonstrated the right way. When you're looking for customers, it's imperative that you go after customers that you really can serve. So who already has a need for the product that you're looking for? Where are those people already? And then how do you start to build a relationship with them wherever they happen to be? So when we talk about location physically, where you select, right, paying for real estate, wherever your office happens to be or whoever's walking by, foot traffic, those things make a huge impact. And similarly as well online. So when you advertise online, are you advertising in places that your ideal customer is currently viewing? Are you ensuring that you're using the right places to place your ads and you're getting in front of the right people? Starting with the right people prevents any of the challenges down the road, most of the challenges down the road. You encounter way more if you're starting with the wrong people and then trying to work with them to make them the right people. And I see a lot of small business owners struggle in that space. Yeah.
Okay, so this is fascinating because when we start out as a small business, you know, I've heard this over and over, and even myself when I started out, you know, people would say, okay, well, who is your ideal client? And, you know, anybody with a pulse, really, but it's not, that's not really how it works. So how do you focus in on who is the ideal client for that specific business, for that business owner? Like, are there a series of questions, or how do you define that? Like, how do you build that client or draw that picture?
Yep. So the process generally is a several stage process, because most people, when they do start out in business, their viewpoint is that they can serve the market that is this dramatically large.
Right, exactly.
And that's valid to a certain point. The challenge is that if you're looking to try to serve everybody, then you're going to serve everybody in a small way, possibly. When you really hone in on, if you could have that entire large market of your perfect clients and serve them impeccably better than anybody else, then that will that instead will give your business the ability to really over-deliver. So you begin by making a list of who would be the perfect client for my business. And when you make the list, you're not shutting the door on other people, but you're determining who it is that you're going to market to. And what are their problems? What are their challenges? How do they need your services? How do you solve issues for them? How can you enhance other parts of their life that are very close to the neighborhood of this? And look at delivering value in such a compound way. You can only do that when you go through that list. So the second key and the clue is who currently comes to you already. Like, who are the ones that are already looking for some of the things that you are providing to them? When you opened up the business, where did the idea come from? Who were the people that were asking for you to get into that business in the first place? And those will give you some indicators as to what this perfect client avatar or profile will look like. And ask friends. You know, ask other people what their perspective is. Ask a business mentor. Do some research. Take a look at your product. Who's currently purchasing that already from your competitors? Take a look and see who visits the businesses of your competitors. And key in on who's already receiving value. And that's a great way to ensure that if you go after those same customers, you can take a look at delivering value to them too. By starting out really, really broad, it's a fight and it's a challenge. And entrepreneurs normally don't like to do that. And we did that the same. When we first were shopping our book to publishers, and publishers would ask, you know, who's your ideal client? Oh, well, we can teach anybody with the 6 questions.
Right.
And that's not the accurate fact. Our book is written for women that are in their early 20s, that are entrepreneurs or opening their own business or thinking about doing so. And that truly is who this book serves. Now, does that mean that this morning I had a talk downtown, and one of the women that was in the talk is in her late 60s, and she said, I know that I'm not your ideal client, but I'm going to buy your book because I'm interested in what's reading it there. So selecting the client doesn't mean you're not going to not work with other people, but it means you have the opportunity to get really good at serving this one particular client group first, and that will allow your business to, you know, be buoyed by that type of client and still serve the other people who want to show up.
Well, that's some great advice on targeting and on your ideal client, because I know that is a huge struggle for business owners, especially starting out. So, so let's talk about the 2 biggest challenges for most small business owners. What are they?
One is generally financing and revenue. It's money, and making decisions based upon what they have the ability to afford. So it's time and it's money. Those are the 2 different challenges that we have. Resources for small businesses are always a challenge, particularly if you've had to have investors or take out a loan or something like that to start up a business. So you're taking a look at the sales of your business have to not only pay bills but hit your break even, and then where are the profit margins and how can you make decisions, and that has a huge impact. So revenue stream is it's the biggest challenge, obviously, and also because it's inconsistent, right? It depends upon the time of year, where you're located, what are the patterns of the people that are in your geographic area. All of these things have an influence, and so learning how to leverage the online space is a way to find another revenue stream that also can deliver more consistent income to your business by having things that are for sale online continuously. Time is the second one, of course, because as small business owners, for the most part, we wear every hat we can. And we're very proud of that, right? We truly are.
Absolutely.
And there's a little bit of that has to happen, right? We have to learn how to take on and handle all of these different tasks in order to get things done. And that's a great quality. The challenge comes in when, as a small business owner, we're doing things that are not our area of strength. And so we spend more time doing the things that we feel really challenged by and we're probably not good at. And some of that's just early training. When we were in school, all of us were taught that we have to excel in all of these different subjects, and we have to have a great rounded education. Now, in order to do that, for a majority of us, it means that we have to focus more time on our areas of weakness. And that might mean taking away some of our time from our areas of strength. If we have a signature strength, which is something that you love to do, right? Marty Seligman wrote a book called Authentic Happiness, and he talks about signature strengths and what an impact they have on our lives as happy adults. We engage in an activity that charges us. Brendan Burchard wrote a book called The Charge and discusses that too. And Mahaly Csikszentmihalyi wrote a book called Flow. It's all about the same concept. As children, we engage into activities that allow us to get into this flow state easily. What happens a lot of the time is that may be where our extracurricular activities are going. But if we start to not do so well in school in another subject, it's not uncommon to see our signature strengths get eliminated from the menu so that you can get some tutoring to focus on this challenging subject, which is a smart decision in order to be able to gain the education we need. impact of that, though, has us spending time in the areas of challenge,
Yes.
where we're not getting that fueled state. And if we don't return as adults to re-engaging in those signature strengths, then that has a dramatic impact on our happiness levels and our ability to perform well. As business owners, if we spend all of our time now focusing on these areas where we don't really excel or we don't love them, we can spend more time running our businesses feeling like our businesses are running us. And we can spend time really feeling exhausted. It's a smarter way to go to accept that it's not your area of signature strength.
Right.
And to delegate.
Yes.
And to find other people to do those tasks and to not feel as though we have to do those things in order to cover whatever the checklist happens to be that we feel we need to do. Today there are so many different ways to delegate. There's so many different ways to be able to really capitalize on your time management. Using a virtual assistant is an unbelievable way to change your business. And the challenge with virtual assistants most people I find have is that they don't know if they have the revenue or the cash flow to be able to invest in a virtual assistant, and they don't know if they have the consistent work or if they should use one or what have you. My advice is hire one right now
And see.
for 2 hours a month. If that's your desire, maybe it's 3 hours a week or something so small.
Okay, just hang on to that thought, Michelle. We will be right back. You're watching Your Business with Charmaine on Rogers TV. Hi, and welcome back to Your Business with Charmaine on Rogers TV. We are talking about having a coach in your corner tonight, and we're talking about business and leadership coach. And joining me in this studio is Michelle Smith from michellesmith.com. And Michelle, just before the break, we were talking about time management. We're talking about financing in a business, and you had talked about hiring a virtual assistant. So if you can continue on that thread, that'd be great.
Yes. So for anybody who does feel as though they're challenged, and they're challenged with tasks that are, things that you would like to outsource, to hire a virtual assistant for a very small time commitment and be blown away by how much they get done in such a short period of time, and how by taking some of these things off of your list, it allows you to focus on the area of your business that earns you revenue. It allows you to focus on the areas where you really make a difference to your customers, to your staff, to the training, to places that you can really make an impact. I have a virtual assistant who's here in the Barrie area and who is phenomenal, and her information will be on the resource list that we make accessible to everyone. But they're so flexible. They're extremely talented. They have a vast amount of resources themselves to help outsource. So it's like having a personal assistant that will help you run your business. And from a time management perspective, it is absolutely smart to learn to let go of some of the control and to not need to do it all on your own, to delegate and allow yourself to have a team that will help you get it done so that your business can scale to levels that you'd never be able to get to all on your own. Yeah, and so even as a very brand new business owner, or an entrepreneur with a small cash flow, I still encourage you to take a look at virtual assistants and be able to figure out what your budget is and start there and see the difference.
Well, and this makes a huge difference and has a huge impact on your time management, right?
Massive.
Yes.
And as entrepreneurs as well, we have to learn how to triage better.
I triage as a money coach with my clients when they first come to me. So.
Yeah, and for anyone who's not familiar with the term triage, when you walk into the emergency room of a hospital, the triage nurse is the one that prioritizes everybody based upon
the severity of their
desperation.
situation, right?
Absolutely. And as entrepreneurs, we have to do that as well. However, we normally fall down and we fault ourselves by doing it the wrong way. What we normally do is we are trained to do what we like to do.
Yes.
Right? So there are things that we have to do and things that we want to do. We generally start with the things that we want to do and don't have to do, or that we want to do and have to do. We postpone the things that we have to do and maybe want to do. And we definitely postpone, most of us, the things that we have to do and don't want to do.
The procrastinating, right?
Procrastinating, but we're procrastinating things that are non-negotiable. And so what happens is that we push off the tasks that we don't like doing until they are at that screaming level of necessity or need where it's now stressful, it's going to have a negative impact if we don't address it. It affects us in a very negative way and probably other people in our world, in our business, or in our lives. And so to learn how to triage in the opposite way is just, it's simply required. They're disciplines that you teach yourself to do as a successful entrepreneur. And the best entrepreneurs, the most successful on the planet, there's no negotiation with this. You simply learn to do what you have to do. And so you prioritize it that way. And the things that you want to do, they come after when you have time. And the point of that is that once you have a systemic way of hitting the things that you have to get done, now you have a business that is running efficiently. There is revenue coming in. You do have the ability to have more time to take time off, not work as hard, to spend it the way that you want to. But that only comes on the shoulders of rewiring the way that we think. Right? Sometimes we associate time off with pleasure, and we associate hard work with pain. When in reality, we need to rewire those. Because if we spend all of our time, long-term, time off, pleasure is not going to be the result if we don't work hard.
If we don't, well, yeah, because
in order to provide a life for ourselves.
Money's not coming in.
That's right. So the long-term result of time off is pain. It's not pleasure. And the opposite is true. The long-term result of hard work is pleasure. That's right. So it's just rewiring the connections that a lot of us have formed earlier in life and seeing things a little differently to get different results.
Right. Now, you had talked about, you know, issues being one of the issues for entrepreneurs is financing, and can you talk a little bit about pricing? How do we figure that out? Where does that fit in?
Value proposition. So again, one of the key components is that you have the right product for your market at the right price at the right time. And as an entrepreneur, that's going to change. The recipe will change, and we have to be okay with that. We have to be unbelievably comfortable with change. As the world evolves, as things continue to be innovated, our businesses will not look the same whatsoever in 2 years from now. We did not have any expectation that all of us would be wandering around with these handheld devices and that we all just assume that we should be able to get a hold of each other at any time during the course of the day. Every single business should have a website that should be easy and perfect for me to use. It's interesting how quickly this has happened. It's not a long time. And business will continue to evolve. And that's a great thing. Our lives will continue to evolve. To succeed at that, you have to pay attention. So you have to pay attention to your competitors. You have to pay attention to see what your market will be able to withhold as far as pricing. And you have to get it accurate, because you price it too low and you will not earn enough revenue for your business to be able to sustain itself and for your profit margins to exist. Also, it will devalue your product. People have an issue with not spending enough money on something that they really do care about. So they want to ensure that they're making smart decisions. They're not afraid to pay a great price for a great value that they're going to get. And then the second part is, if you're priced too high, obviously then people will go to your consumer. So it's part of the value proposition. There's not a really quantifiable way to say it, except for if people believe they're getting the value from you, it's astonishing what you'll pay for when you trust it. Yeah. And that's a great thing about the ability to run a great business. If you provide phenomenal value, then fantastic. And people will pay to be able to be in business with you.
Perfect. Well, Michelle, we've got lots more to come. Please do stay with us. You are watching Your Business with Charmaine on Rogers TV. Hi and welcome back to Your Business with Charmaine on Rogers TV. We are talking about having a coach in your corner, business and leadership coach. And joining me tonight is Michelle Smith, who is a business and leadership coach. And Michelle, we were just talking about some of the value proposition of value propositions of business coaches. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that a successful entrepreneur, how a successful entrepreneur differentiates himself from, say, the rest of the pack.
Everybody else.
Yeah. What else would you say?
So we did touch a little bit on time management and organization, and that's part of it. But one of the key 6 ingredients also is effort. And a lot of people make the right decision to become an entrepreneur and to run their own business. And there is an argument that says perhaps that I think some people believe it's different than it's going to be. And as an entrepreneur, you have to have an expectation that your experience of navigating in the world of business all on your own at the very beginning is just like being in a very, very, very dark, dark room where there might be a glimmer of light somewhere at some times that may provide hope that there will be a solution and that you are dedicated to looking for it constantly. Mm-hmm. Because truly that's the way that as an entrepreneur you spend all of your time problem solving. You spend all of your time getting more education, investing in more resources, innovating, trying out brand new things, learning how to be able to evolve your business. And when it comes to effort, there's 5 really different degrees of effort that I think that all of us can relate to. And the first one is poor effort. And we have to associate poor effort with pain and suffering. We have to do that. The second degree of effort is average effort. And average effort is enough to just get by. For most of us as well, that's the type of effort that we grew up knowing how to leverage. We could mostly all get by with average effort in most subjects in school and in most other things that we were challenged by. It was average effort. We noticed when we had to put in
extra
85%.
Right? Yeah.
We noticed when we had to work hard in order to accomplish that. And we in some way felt as though we should get bonus pay to a degree. So average effort is only the second level. The third level is good effort. Good effort is something that your coach says to you when he pats you on the back as you're leaving the field because your team lost. That's the third degree of effort. The fourth degree of effort is great effort. And in the dictionary defines great effort as accomplishing adequate results. The fifth degree of effort is outstanding effort. Every single thing that you have, 100% of your energy is invested into the success or the solution for this business in its entirety. And only at outstanding effort is when we start to see results. Most of us, we do know how to put in 80%. Most people struggle and stumble because they put in 80%, and 80% is not enough to get you there. 80% is enough to get you feeling owed. 80% enough to get you a little bit upset. But it's not enough to get you home.
Okay,
and
so how do you get home?
Determining that you're endeavoring to do something that you truly are motivated to do. You know, Wayne Gretzky talks about one of the biggest lessons that was a turning point in his career, and it's where he learned about what the definition of true commitment was. This is a phenomenal story that I love to tell at seminars, etc. It's a 45-minute story when you get into it. But the bottom line is that when you learn how to recruit 100% out of yourself, you now have the ability to start to make a huge difference in your business, in your results. And so it's number one about deciding that you're not going to perform at less than your best.
Right.
And to really see the specific samples of how to improve your game, think for a minute about an athlete and then a high performance athlete. And all of us did track and field when we were in school. We could all run, the 100-meter dash.
Yes.
Some of us super fast. I had Wildcat running shoes. They were pink. They made me faster.
I had Adidas with the stripes.
It's fantastic. But truly, the difference between Olympic world record holders and everybody else is a couple seconds.
Yeah.
But the real difference is average athletes and high performance athletes, they weigh their food. They time at exactly what time they take a supplement. They understand and invest in the brain trust of everyone to learn how to allow this body to operate at maximum potential. They shave their legs for aerodynamic ability. Right? That's commitment. So when it comes to taking a look at how you want to see your business succeed and what degree of commitment do you play at, being honest about perhaps it's in the 80% range, and that you can get to 100% by taking off some of those tasks that you get de-energized by. The things that drain your energy so that you don't have the ability to necessarily invest 100% brain power into some of these solutions. So being smart about where you apply your energy, but 100% is required. There is no less than that if you want to succeed in the game of being an entrepreneur.
And that's one of those areas where the successful ones are separating themselves from the rest.
Everybody else, hands and shoulders.
Right. So how focused should a business owner be on sales and marketing? How important is that?
Sales and marketing is the most important part of their business. If we had to pick simply one, because it's revenue, right? It's revenue in, it's the entire show. We're either earning revenue or we're not. And you know, understanding that a lot of people get into business because they're really phenomenal at a particular craft. They are incredible bakers. They design such a unique dessert experience that everyone just loves to have. There still has to be a component when it comes to sales and marketing. The challenge is that for anyone who's not trained in sales and marketing, then they may have a little bit of a challenging relationship with it, because nobody likes to come off as a salesy person.
No.
People don't feel really authentic sometimes, and that's not going to work when it comes to sales. Sales is about telling the truth. It's about doing nothing else. It's about having a product or a business you believe in, the value proposition. The most important person for that value proposition to have value for is for you. You have to believe in your business more than anybody else. You have to know that you're doing something that serves. And when you do have that, then you have the ability to communicate it authentically, which is the way that you sell your services. So sales and marketing should be 80% of your efforts in order to ensure that you're always having revenue come in. Every company on the face of this planet has a sales department. They have a marketing department. That is the only way that the rest of the business can continue to stay in business. So every activity that you engage in as the business owner should be a revenue generating activity. And whether that's recruiting the right people as far as customers into your business, if it's recruiting the right people as far as people who will promote your business, perhaps they're not the right match. Because when you're trying to determine if a customer is the right match, the first thing you have to try to find a match on is value. Do I deliver for this customer what they need? Is this a value match? And if that's the case, then you proceed to a sale. If it's not the case, you don't proceed to a sale. There's no value exchange in getting a little bit of money for someone's never going to use. And that's the experience that prevent people from, you know, feeling great about certain businesses. When you determine that my business may be not perfect for you, but here's a referral, or here's a recommendation, and you know, there's another business or a competitor, somebody who's not necessarily a competitor, because truly there's enough room for everybody to succeed, then you're providing value in a way that now has somebody who's a promoter for your business. And as entrepreneurs and as small business owners, we're not trying to serve all of these different people. We know who our perfect customer is, and they're our perfect customer if what we've got is what they need. And if it's not, then it's not, and that's okay. Right.
Perfect. Okay, so what would you recommend? What do we do when things go wrong?
Solve them. Another key is to expect problems to happen all the time. Problems are normal. They're also an indicator that we're making progress. When we encounter something we've never had to solve before, it means that we're moving into a new area to determine a new solution. So number one is to never lose time because you lose your attitude. Never lose time because you're faced with another brand new challenge. So when you're faced with a challenge, if you're working with a mentor, if you work with a business coach, but to invest in getting some education on how to solve the issue clearly is the most, the biggest key. but to simply anticipate that problems are not bad. It's a part of business, and you have to have resilience towards solutions. And some of the things that will set you up to have a longer tolerance level are things like having a stronger financial reserve, being able to be in a scenario where you're not running your business from a financially strapped position, right? Our financial scenario has a direct relationship to our emotional scenario. And one of three things is happening with your business. You are either going in the right direction, which means that you are increasing your trajectory from a revenue streaming perspective. You're earning more than you're spending, your savings is going up, and things are fantastic.
That's always good.
Right, and truly, it's just about trajectory, because there's hope in that pathway. And when you're in that space, you're making strategic decisions. You're making sound decisions. You're very strategy oriented, and you're invested. The second headspace is that you are mildly stressed and mildly motivated, because you're earning as much as you need to, but depending upon the day in which you wakes up in the morning, you're either stressed out about it or you are motivated about it. And that's where a lot of entrepreneurs live, because the truth is that sometimes you will be in just a break-even scenario with your business. And that's why taking a look at expenses and having cost control over what expenses are required, which ones are generating revenue, which ones are required to deliver a customer experience, which ones are not required, which ones can we cut so that that way we have the trajectory back in our favor. One of the most important keys to stay in a headspace that allows you to make smarter decisions. The third headspace, which we don't want to talk about, is where you're spending more than you're making. And unless you have a very large resource of revenue behind you, that's a limited timeline.
Yes, yes.
Right. And some of us start off, and that is a reality, but the reality is the only way to turn that trajectory is through additional sales and additional marketing. And you generally don't get sales until you market. Right. Which means that you're going to spend money on marketing in order to get the return of sales at the back end. And so with those three headspaces, you really have a choice as to where you want to spend your time, and it's based upon the dedication you have to ensuring that your revenue is streaming the right way.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the other things that we've talked about. A few things that the most successful entrepreneurs, how they separate themselves. So what are some other areas in which the most successful entrepreneurs separate themselves from the rest of us?
So another key area, it would be attitude. Truly, and attitude was something that I had to work on dramatically.
Really?
Oh my goodness. And I think that for a lot of us, that's just a part of honesty when it comes to growing up. And as a teenager, I struggled with my confidence level, as I think is a natural thing to go through. And as a very young adult, I was still trained to have the same responses when I met challenge that I had learned or formed when I was very young. So what I learned when I was very young is that whenever something negative happened, the faster that I could kind of stand up for myself, then that showed people that I was capable, or it meant don't try to mess with me, kind of. And this is in a 19-year-old's mind. As a young adult running a business, as soon as I was met with confrontation or the word no, or some form of rejection or just disappointment, I would throw myself off the attitude cliff completely. And it would take such time to recover, when the truth is that the transaction has occurred and there's no room for personal sabotage. There's no time to lose your attitude to be able to not make sound decisions. And so for me, I had to put myself into like a rehab program to learn just different ways to build a longer fuse, to not be reactive, to be able to understand that some things that are transactional, they're not things for me to respond personally to. And that's a muscle that we have to build. How many times has anyone made a very bad decision because they've lost their cool? And how many times have you ever been in a business and seen the business owner clearly not in a great mindset, that the person behind the counter is almost apologizing to you, the way that they're looking at you? And just in the realm of entrepreneurship, it's something that everyone has to learn how to be able to gain influence over. It's not about control, control is too strong of a word. That's too big of a commitment. We don't need control, but you need to have influence.
Right.
And to separate yourself from everyone else, when you're on your game 100%, how do we feel when we take a look at our hockey team and we see them lose their attitude when they're on the ice?
We don't want to watch, we turn it off.
Oh, and it's not okay.
It's not.
It's not
cool
okay.
At all.
Not
No,
at all. That's
it's
right.
not.
And it's clear for us to see that.
Yeah.
Well, in our own business, you're on the ice all the time.
Yeah.
And
So
there
you-
is never a circumstance where it's okay for you to drop gloves.
You have to be on your game all the time.
All
right?
the time.
Right. So what would be the #1 piece of advice you would give somebody who's planning on starting their own business, new business?
I would, not planning on starting their own business, I would say to make sure that they're focusing on the value proposition without any question, as opposed to doing something that sounds fun or that is a great idea for right now. We're surrounded by all of these business ideas that were unbelievably scaled and overnight successes and
Yes.
all of these things.
Yes.
And that's not the norm.
No, it's not.
Whatsoever. So focus on the value proposition without question. The biggest piece of advice I would give to anybody in business is to work with a mentor, to find a coach, and if not one, then several. And you can find a coach in any budget,
Right.
but to have somebody else's wisdom assist you so that you have the ability to succeed, the game is to win. It's to build the life that you love.
Right.
It's to do so with as much ease as possible. And the education that you'll get from someone who's dedicated to your success as much as you, it changes your business and it'll change your life. You work with the right coach.
That's awesome. So do you have any seminars, events, workshops, or anything that's coming up in the near future, Michelle?
Yes, actually, in September 19th, we have a business and leadership seminar in Toronto. And at that seminar, I'll be giving one of my signature keynote talks, The 6 Degrees of Separation, which is the full talk on the 6 ways that entrepreneurs separate themselves, the most successful entrepreneurs, from everybody else when it comes to the game of business. And we'll have some other phenomenal speakers on the roster that day. It's for anyone who is an entrepreneur. It's for anyone who runs a small business. A phenomenal, empowering day. So it's September 19th, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight on the show, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Great advice. And for those of you out there, you can reach Michelle at michellesmith.com. That's MICHELL, smith.com. And thank you for joining us tonight. Anything else?
There's a resource guide available for anyone
On
my
the website.
website. That's
Okay.
all of the best resources, my virtual assistant here in Barrie, and a whole bunch of other trusted resources
Okay.
to help.
Thank you once again for joining us tonight on Your Business with Charmaine on Rogers TV. Have a great night.